Hiya, how's it going? Welcome back to the Tarot Teachings video series, Court Cards Part 2. I'm very excited to continue on with our court cards as they bring up tons of things, right? So I'm just going to recap just a little bit with the last lesson. We went all into pentacles and swords and their different personalities, and now we're going to go into the wands and cups, and we'll talk about their signs and what they relate to and all the rest of it. Okay, so I hope you had some fun putting together different court cards together, like matching them up and imagining them at a party. You can do that with all of these. You can introduce this group to the other group and see how that goes for you. I find it's always easiest to relate the cards to somebody you already know. So if you can, try and peg out when your, let's say, mom or sisters or yourself, when your birthday is and your star sign, and then you put it together with the card. That's when you really start to get super accurate on the people in your readings, right? Because you can name the personalities, and then when you ask them, well, is this a very romantic person? Is he, will he give the shirt off his back? And if they say yes, then you know who it is. And they, your clients will get so shocked that you know that person so well, right? So, there's a little trick for you. Okay. So, what am I going on to here? So we're going to, if it's, I just wanted to mention too, if it still feels like a foreign language, it's okay. One day it'll all just click. It just like, sometimes it's one card at a time usually, and you just kind of get that extra little added oomph to that card, and then you just, and you'll never ever forget. So carry on, just try and keep on keeping on with them, because it does give you such a great bunch of insight for life in general, because, and I'm still learning about them, even though I've been doing this for quite a few years now, so I'm learning. And and the other thing too is when I see the cards, right? So the Knight of Cups is here. When I see the cards, and I remember this in one of my YouTube readings, it was the first time his feather in his cap just popped right out at me more than anything else. So take note to what's going on in the card, right? So the guy with the feather in his cap, he always thinks he's smarty go to the party, right? So, and that is kind of the Knight of Wands. He's Mr. Jump on any opportunity, and he likes to be in front of the crowd as well. So, and he's got his feather in his cap. So that's the deal there. And always with the Queen of Wands, I see the cat that's with her, which is representative of an independent lady, right? Because cats, cats, they don't do anything that people want them to do. Okay, so we're going to start with the cups. So pull out your cups cards, pause it if you need to, grab your cards, and we will get to it. Okay, so about the cup people, they are an emotional and creative bunch. Their astrological signs relate to water, which is our emotions, watery emotions. They go up and down, they roll over. The cups people, I always find that they're usually a bit of drinkers. Like this Queen of Cups, I like to think of her as a little bit of a wino. because they're emotional and creative, and they like to have a drink, and they just, you know, and they always are carrying a cup, right? So this is the thing with them. They like to keep it together, mind you, but and they're when they do drink, this is one of my aunts. They have a few drinks and then all of a sudden they start to cry, right? So you gotta gauge it. Sometimes they are absolutely not drinkers whatsoever because they know that they can't handle it. So they've either given up drinking or too scared to drink or something like that. Okay, let me just get to where I'm at here. So, Cups people have mood swings, do their emotions running away with them. So they tend to be floating up in the air and dreamers all the time. Hanging out in the clouds is great for imagining what things can come into our lives. But it's not really good when you're confronted with a serious situation because they don't seem to understand the gravity of what's going on, right? And the astrological star signs for Cups are Pisces, February 19th to March 20th, Cancer, June 21st to July 22nd, and Scorpio, October 23rd to November 21st, okay? We're going to start off with the Queen of Cups. Where is she? Here she is. She's very, very sensitive and always has an open home for you. She likes her alone time as well. But you can go and visit her anytime you like. She's concerned that you feel comfortable in her home and is always welcoming. She likes all those beautiful things, those trinkets, those nice pieces of artwork, you know, crystal, fancy dishes. But most often she's a person that used to be creative when she was a teenager and gave it up and just likes to buy things. Now, she also encourages others in her life to be creative. Excuse, I feel a sneeze coming on. She appreciates the good things in life, which we all should. But she actually really gets enthralled in the beauty of things around her. So she's one of those people that always compliments, oh, that's a beautiful dress, the fabric is so nice, right? And oftentimes she knows what's going on with you even when you don't tell her. She's highly in tune with her psychic gifts. They're usually very intuitive. The Queen of Cups is the person that you are thinking of, and then she phones all the time because she knows that you're on that wavelength, that you need her, right? So they're often the people that have dreams a lot in our lives as well, that say, oh, I had another dream that was all wacky about whatever, right? And they're ready to pick us up when things go wrong, which is a lovely friend to have around. These ladies are pretty quiet and shy until you get to know them, and then they are very, very chatty and they just won't be quiet. So that's her in a nutshell. When the Queen is in reverse, they can be one of those drama queens. Why does this always happen to me? The poor me syndrome, and her psychic powers really only seem to work for herself, for her others around her, not for herself, right? So when something happens to her, she didn't have the foresight to see it. She just seems like she got broadsided or blindsided by this event, and then she goes, why does this stuff always happen to me? And it's like the self-pity game, playing the victim. And the other thing too is that when this Queen comes up in reverse, they replay things that go on in their mind over and over and over again. Like, these are the people that can't let that stuff go, let the past argument go, or let the old boyfriend go, and then they become obsessive compulsive, and it makes them make really bad choices, right? So unclear choices, and by being led by emotion rather than rational thinking, right? So the other thing too, when it's in reverse, and this is true for all of the cups, if any of the cups come up that is the same as the person you're reading for, I always think that there might be a mild case of depression, or they are just not thinking clearly. So when they come up in the reverse and it's the same sex, same age as who you're reading for, it's a good idea to say, it's time for you to rest those emotions. You need to get outside, do something to release that depression, right? All right, we're on to the King of Cups. King of Cups. This guy, he is the life of the party. I always think of him as a traveler, especially in this deck, because he's on a carpet, he's above the water, there's ships there. I think of him as one of those guys, you know, at a Mexican resort sometimes, and they're all tanned and they got the gold chain, and they're kind of the big teddy bear type deal people. They're always, people want to be around them. They're fun, they're always telling jokes, they're very relaxed, people feel good around them, right? But I do find that they are drinkers, and you can find him in the pub having a cold one all the time, right? So, and he will encourage you to be creative in every way possible. And the other thing is with these guys, they're generally pretty creative themselves, but they don't let you know. So they either do like woodworking, or they're mechanically inclined, or they're artistic of some kind, and they just don't let people know about it. You have to be a very good friend to be let into that little area of that circle, right, for him. And he also holds all of his friends and family in high regards, and he has a soft spot for those closest to him. Like, he just can't say no to his daughter or those close friends around him, right? He's one of those guys that's a little bit of a pushover, very sentimental, and will remember things for a long time. In reverse, this is not, he's just not nice. Lack of compassion, harsh words, and he can be like a bit of a tyrant around people around him, especially the closest to him, and he'll misuse his power. And these are all bubbling up, generally speaking, when reversed. These bubble up because they've been drinking too much, indulging in their habits, which is also a meaning for the king. This King of Cups reverse is that they've been overindulging in fast food, drinks, drugs, whatever habit it is. And then they don't think clearly. They ignore the real issues that are going on around them, such as they need to pay their mortgage, but they just keep on drinking because they don't want to face the situation, right? So, or the other thing with these guys is if they've already given up drinking, or they're not a drinker, sometimes they're like an excessive exerciser, or they're workaholics. It's like one extreme or the other when it's in the reverse. So they just wait for problems to go away, and as you and I both know, problems don't just go away, you have to face them. Which is often uncomfortable to face them, but it's easier to deal with it in the long run because it's not extending the length of the problem. Alrighty, this is excellent. Moving right along. Page of Cups. And this is true for all the cups. They're all a bit of daydreamers, right? They like to imagine things, and they really have their heads in the clouds, right? Because artistic people, they always are dreaming up new creative endeavors. This Page of Cups, she's always daydreaming about the next creative endeavor. She does, however, lack the follow-through because she gets bored of a project. She thinks it all up, right? And then she's working away on it and she realizes, oh man, this is going to take like 10 hours, and then she stops and then she goes on to the next one, where she'll put a couple hours in and then she'll say, oh, this is boring, and then she goes to the next one. But when she does finish the projects, they are often beautiful, and then she tends to just give them away freely. She is a very, very loving and a bit boy crazy teenage girl, right? Her heart is so open and she loves so freely, and she loves all the creatures on earth. When she falls in love frequently, she risks being hurt as she gives her heart fully and completely every single time, right? And every last drop of her love, right? And often these young girls, they give at an expense to themselves, right? Or if it's or if you're reading a lady that's older, that this card comes up, it means that she's giving away too much to the partner that she's with. So she has to draw a line somewhere. And if the page, because pages represent messages as well. So if this page comes up and it's not a person in their life or how they're acting, this can be a message for related to, you got to get more creative, follow through with that creative idea. You might be getting a letter or some sort of emotional closure, anything like that. In reverse, this girl is one of those pouty girls that's stomping her feet and running out of the room crying because everything's all wrong. And it's a huge problem. You just don't understand. They can cry, they're overly sensitive, they might get depressed, super moody. You can say, like, even, oh, are you wearing that red t-shirt tonight? Why? I don't understand why you have to talk about my clothes, you know, and it's just like, I just asked, are you wearing the red t-shirt? Doesn't matter, right? But that's how sensitive they can be, like overly sensitive. And the Page of Cups, I always feel like they're a bit of an empath, right? Because the thing is they're growing into Queen of Cups. Queen of Cups are usually highly intuitive, psychic, and the Page of Cups, they're an empath and they feel what other people are feeling. That's why they can love so much and love the whole world and have compassion for everybody. But they're so sensitive that they need to learn how to protect themselves. So by the time that they get to a queen, hopefully they've learned those lessons that they can protect themselves a little bit. But when you think of like a 17-year-old girl that's super sensitive, they don't know what's going on usually. And so if you get a reading where there's a girl like that, you have to teach them how to protect themselves and to stay away from maybe situations that aren't appropriate for them, such as like I myself, I'm very much an empath. I don't go out to concerts or big events anymore because I just cannot handle it. There's too many people around and I just don't like it. So okay, one other thing is that, yeah, she just doesn't know how to deal with her sensitive feelings in an appropriate way. And the other thing with the Page of Cups is that those feelings that she gets. She doesn't really necessarily know that they are to do with psychic feelings, right? So that's the one thing about that. Okay, so Knight of Cups, a very sensitive young man. He's got this wonderful, beautiful, I don't know what you call these on the horse. It's totally ornate and beautiful. When I see this card, I always ask the person, do you have a son or a grandson that really likes his nice clothes? They usually have the latest fashion, the haircuts, the hair, you know, they do a lot of manscaping. They have like the hair dyed and the latest new gadgets. You wouldn't catch a Knight of Cups without the latest iPhone. And they take good care of those things because they appreciate and like to have those nice new shiny objects, right? He's also a daydreamer, and he may not listen to you or hear you when you speak, just for the fact that he's off in La La Land, right? But he is very, very sensitive and romantic. In the book, for the Mystic Dreamer Tarot, this book here, they say he's the quintessential romantic knight. And I feel that he is a romantic guy, but he's really kind of shy and quiet, right? I kind of feel like the Knight of Wands is very romantic. We'll get to him in a bit. Well, he's the last guy on the court cards. But I feel that he's a romantic guy too. And the thing with the Knight of Cups is they're usually so shy that they like a girl and they keep looking at her from afar. It will take them like about a year and a half just to ask her on a date for fear that he might get rejected, right? And, you know, even if the girl really probably likes him too. So, you know, the other thing is with this gentleman, he lacks common sense. Just because he's forever dreaming about the other stuff that can be going on. And then, and again, in reverse, this knight can be very depressed, just going through the motions of life. It's emotional roller coaster, right? So a young man, let's say at 15, 16, he's going back and forth in between, yay, I got on the basketball team, oh, that girl won't go out with me, and then again, right? And then it makes his mood swings so far up and down. He can get very angry and moody and say hurtful things to maybe his mom or sisters that are trying to really help him out. Okay, so we're going to wrap that part up. Now we're on to the wands. So, wands, we will start with the Queen again. I like starting with the Queen. Wands are all about our ambitions and relationships. They are fiery people. Their star sign relates to fire. They are the fire signs. Expect fiery fireworks with people. They're those ones that kind of push the envelope. They're always ready to go out on a limb. They're ready to fight. They will, they are energetic and passionate. Those are the people that like eat food and they're like, oh, this is delicious. You know, I never get like that. I'm a sword. I'm very logical. I do have compassion. I do enjoy good food, but I'm not one of those ones that'll just go on forever about how delicious things are and whatever. But wands will. They are warm. They usually have a spiritual purpose, but I haven't found that most of the wands in my life will actually let you know that they're actually seeking it. So that's one thing that you might want to keep in mind. Maybe your wands in your life are very open about seeking their spiritual purpose, right? Okay, So they know that there's something greater, and they are meant to be spiritually and professionally doing great, and they will seek it out, and they will seek those opportunities, and they will jump on them when they come. So they're not afraid of change, like the Pentacle people, right? Pentacle people, they resist change at all kind of facets. The Wands, they will encourage and make change happen. So the astrological signs related to Wands are the good old Leo, roar, July 23rd to August 22nd, Sagittarius, November 22nd to December 21st, and Aries, March 21st to April 19th. And I want to show you something right now. I can never remember the astrological symbols for anybody, so I have a little piece of paper here, pardon me, that I keep with me when I do my readings, and I will always ask which ones it is. I put Cups, Pisces, and whatever, and their basic things, their water sign, or their earth, their Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, whatever it is, and I just keep it there. So I keep it there with that, so then I can easily refer to it, and nobody cares if you're looking at a sheet for astrological signs. You cannot possibly remember absolutely everything in the tarot deck. It's, well, I mean, I guess you could, and I'm getting better, but really when you're starting out, take it easy on yourself, write it down so your mind doesn't get too cluttered. It's much easier in the long run. Okay, I gotta get going on the wands, the time, I wanna be able to finish this video better than the last one. So this queen is very independent, naturally leads the crowd. She enjoys a good challenge, and she's ready for anything. The queen is a great organizer for events and life in general, right? So she's one of those very organized people. She's another queen similar to the Queen of Pentacles, and she can pull everything off easily with style and grace, right? One of those people that seems to have it all together all the time. This lady is more of a chatty Cathy, though. So the Pentacle ladies are probably more stern because they're more into themselves. This would be a lady that would be chatting at a party, talking to anybody about anything, laughing, enjoying all the things that life has to offer. She's inquisitive. She has interest for those around them, so she'd be asking you questions. Oh, what do you do? Oh, isn't that interesting? You know, that kind of person, right? She's been very good. The Queen of Wands is very good for helping people, giving them advice on any situation. They make great counselors and psychologists. Way to go. And in the reverse, the Queen of Wands is simply put a real bitch. That's what I put in the worksheet. And they're bossy, controlling, and nobody else is ever right. And they can give into the moment, react poorly, letting the drama get in the way, right, of their usual clear thinking, because they're usually pretty even-keeled, and it does take them, it takes all of these wand people quite a bit to fly off the handle. So that's another thing. And any of the wands I find that are in reverse, they are usually all about control issues, right? Because wands with the Leo, they tame the lion. I'll go to the next thing. I'm done with the Queen of Wands. Because the King of Wands here with the lion and lioness, he's got them at his control, right at the feet. And he's sitting on that big ornate throne, and it looks like you can't mess with this guy, right? These guys are usually very well liked, you know, very respected, very much, they're happy-go-lucky people. They have a plan. They don't often let everybody in on it, but they have their own kind of game plan for themselves. They just don't tell you about it. They like to have the final say all the time. They make great supervisors and foremen because they often see the most efficient way possible to do things. The other thing is that they have no problem delegating responsibilities. So like the King of Pentacles would probably hop right into doing the job right away and find out whatever kind of inefficiencies would come up after the fact. Whereas the King of Wands would sit back for a minute first, think about the best action to go, and then he would actually kind of say, oh, well, I don't have to do all of that. And I do find the Wands quite messy as well. At least the Kings, I find they're messy guys. They delegate those things, messy and lazy. They delegate the things that they don't want to do. And they have no problem with it, and they don't feel bad about it, because as far as they're concerned, they're still getting the job done, but it's the most efficient way possible because they're not putting in any effort. So they'll even at the same time make you feel good about doing the work for them, right? They're one of those tricky guys. They motivate and encourage people around them into believing they can do anything, and that's always a good person to have around as well, right? So the King of Wands, I find, are generally speaking a man's man. You know, one of those guys that can get together with the guys, and they like the spotlight on them. They're well respected in their little community. In reverse, the King of Wands is like a little baby. Just like they stomp their feet, pouts if they don't get their way. If this card comes up in a relationship where somebody's partner, well, this is reflective of somebody's partner, I often say, is your partner too controlling for your liking? So if they're too controlling, or it can be the exact opposite, do they not care at all what you do? And either one of those extremes really isn't beneficial for a relationship. In regards to the person themselves, sometimes it's they have to either gain control or lose control of a situation. And these men actually can lose their tempers in a big bad way when they've been pushed to the edge. And that can be true for all of us, but I find that these guys actually have a little bit of anger problems. I had a boyfriend. Not a pretty sight. And okay. On to the Page of Wands. Page of Wands is a little fiery ball of energy. I always think of Pages of Wands kind of as a little redhead, around 16. A little redhead Leo. She's a ball of energy waiting to use her passion, but she doesn't know what to use it for. She is waiting for signs for the answers in her life, but she's still quiet yet adventurous. She wants to try things. She's just dipping her toe in the water, and she's ready to pounce on new opportunities. So if you were to ask a wand, either any of them, Page, Knight, King, or Queen, hey, would you like to go skydiving one day? They'd be the people that would go right away. And they would definitely enjoy it. But, you know, they love to have new exciting opportunities, so they get bored pretty easily. This Page of Wands is very restless. She wants to start new life. She's eager to start it. She is waiting for new career opportunities, new things to do. And as a part of, for the pages, they always come with messages. It could be a message of a new creative project, job, career path, spirituality opening up, or a new relationship on the horizon, because wands are about those relationships and ambitions, right? So keep those always in the back of your mind when the wand meanings are all related to the people as well as when you see all the rest of them, the pentacles and swords and cups. So when in reverse, this page, she gets into a slump. They tend to lash out on people. Her energy has to go somewhere, right? So if they're not going and relieving their their energy in a positive fashion, such as being creative or going to exercise or hanging out with friends in a good way, they can lash out and be in unhealthy manners, such as drinking too much, and doing things that just aren't appropriate for themselves. This can turn up in ways such as screaming matches and overindulging in bad habits, right? Which isn't good. I always get worried when I see that one for Pages of Wands when there's young girls. When moms are getting their readings and I see the young girl is like that and I go, oh no, she's not acting good. And then I just say, you need to focus her in, you need to focus her in. And then, you know, it's usually pretty good. And then it helps. Okay. So I mentioned this guy before, the Knight of Wands. Knight of Wands, I always see them as romantic, even though they say that that's the Knight of Cups jobs. I mean, but this guy's on one knee, he's ready to propose. He's a mover and shaker. He's ready to jump up, hop around, do anything. He's also one that, you know, if you called him up one day and said you want to go boating, he would go. He'd hop on board, no problem. And he lives his life moment to moment, right? He's one of those guys. He's got big ideas, grand schemes, but he lacks the dedication to put it together. He'll give you, like in this book, they tell you he'll give you the shirt off his back, and he will. He definitely will. The one thing is, though, is that he'll tell you he'll help you move on moving day, but then, you know, he won't be around. He's going to be like too busy sleeping or out on the boat because somebody else phoned him, and it just sounds like way too much more fun. And so that's the kind of thing. So the other thing too with him is, bless his heart, he does have good intentions. This knight is very impatient, though. He can't stand to be in lineups. He can't stand to be waiting around. He's the kind of guy that does things right away. Like I said, he just hops on it. In reverse, this can mean that a person or himself is making silly mistakes, dumb choices, because he didn't see things through, because he's not looking at the future. He's only looking at the moment. They can be totally so self-centered and self-conscious and self-involved that they don't care about anybody else's feelings if it's reversed, right? They like to be in the limelight. This is totally true as well for the King of Wands as well. They both like to be in the limelight. They don't like to share. They don't like to share. They like to have things for themselves. It's theirs. That's their control thing. I have French fries. No, you can't have one because they're mine. I got them for me. I don't care if you're hungry. That's what the knights and kings will say, right? What if you want fries, go get them yourself. Whereas the Page of Cups would say, take them all, right? So you see where we're getting at here? So you got to relate these people to personalities more than anything else. And here we go. In reverse, they make the silly mistakes and they only think about his interests, so much so that he ends up hurting the people around him in order to get his own way, right? So just like I just said, that example of the fries, well, then, you know, if he was hanging out with the Page of Cups, she wouldn't understand why he wouldn't share. Like, why wouldn't you share? And that in turn hurts her feelings. He doesn't love me. And then she goes crying off to the corner because she's so sensitive. And he just walks away and says, whatever. So, anyways, that's all of the court cards in pretty much a nutshell for you. So this is the thing with them. All of them, each and every one of these cards, they relate to us and how we act and how we react to everybody in all sorts of different situations. Each and every one of us has each and every one of these cards within us. We have the ability to be that really mean-spirited King of Pentacles if he gets into one of his moods, or we can be that free-loving child that's so creative and emotional and ready to daydream like the Page of Cups, or we can be the Queen of Pentacles and have it all together at one point in our lives, but then we go off to be, maybe the Queen of Swords, where we lash out on people in reverse and strike right to the heart, right? So each and every one of us has all these moments. We can be selfish, we can be romantic, we can be loving, we can be a tyrant, and hopefully they're all on different days and they don't last for too long. It's all about balance, right? I'm a Libra, I like the balance. So yes, all of these things do have a place in our lives, but when we start to investigate and learn about different personalities, that's when we can really learn how to have compassion, know where people are coming from, and we can make it easier to control our own actions, because when somebody's throwing a fit, you just know that that's their nature. They can't help it. That's how emotional the Cups people are, or when the fiery wand people are so into it and excited and living life to the full passion, then we have to gain a little bit of that enthusiasm as well, right? So it's good. But when we understand where people are coming from, dealing with personalities becomes a little easier, a bit less frustrating, and we can have compassion, love, and grow from there, right? So when we have the idea that they're acting that way, and we can take it when we have no idea, when we have no idea when someone is acting a certain way, we take it to heart and we react badly. Okay, so I'm going to wrap this up with the homework lesson, because this is it. I've gone through everything here, and at this point, if you do have a couple of questions or whatever, feel free to email me at milamizo@gmail.com. I'll answer a couple questions for you anytime, so just don't get out of control though, but a few questions is good, because I don't know if I go over everything completely enough for you. I could go on forever and ever, trust me. This is a good one, and I started doing this, and it's actually quite fun. So when I go out shopping at the grocery store, I can use stop in the lineup, and you kind of see how the personalities are acting. You can see if somebody can't handle being in the lineup, that's the Knight of Wands. You can tell when there's a girl that's all put together, all pretty, and she's got matchy-matchy things, that she might be a Queen of Pentacles or Wands, or if you see, somebody that looks like they've been crying, that they're a Queen of Cups, right? Because they're just too emotional. But if you got some friends in your life right now that you don't know their birthdays and such, try and decipher who's who, and then kind of imagine the people in your life as your cards. Just imagine them walking around as big cards, right? And then you'll end up finding out, and then you ask them when their star sign is, right? And then see if you're right. Now that you know all this stuff, most of the times I betcha you'll be right. It's a very fun exercise, and then you know what's even funner is when they start to come to you in your dreams. So if you also, when you go to bed and you're really curious about learning the tarot, you can always say, hey, can a couple of my cards come and visit me, my court cards come and visit me in my dreams? What do I need to know about them? And that's always the funnest thing to figure out for yourself, right? I just wanted to mention here as well, so that's a fun way to learn a few of the court cards for you. And you know, hey, feel free to write down, like I told you, write down what the astrological signs in the cups are correlating to each other, and just keep it with you. And then that way you know, right? I wrote down all of them. And it's good stuff, trust me, because it just makes you look that more professional and legitimate when you know, and you know what, you might not need to know it all the time, but it's good to have. And so anything that makes your life easier, then just do it. The other thing that I was going to mention is the next two classes are going to be the Celtic Cross. I have a lot to say about the Celtic Cross. It's one of the readings spreads that I use predominantly. I find that I get very, very accurate results with it, and my clients are very happy with the way I do things. There's so many little intricate parts to it that I will show you how it will all turn out, okay? It's going to be great. I look forward to it, and I guess that's it for today. So I'm totally ecstatic. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Pop me an email, let me know if you have any further questions, how you liked it, did you enjoy it, did I answer all your questions, and because this is still new for me too, right? So, and make sure that you watch the YouTube videos, and you know, all my love to you guys. Okay, thanks.